Gentlemen, today's video carries a title that should immediately strike your curiosity. All men should watch this video. 10 questions that drive a woman crazy. But before you assume this is just another superficial list, let me be clear. This is not about silly pickup lines, games, or cheap tricks. What we are about to explore comes from a deeper level of understanding, shaped by the intellectual insights of Cornel West, one of America's most powerful contemporary philosophers. Cornel West is not merely a scholar of academic philosophy. He is a man who has stood on the front lines of culture, justice, love, and the human struggle for meaning. He blends philosophy with passion, logic with love, and reason with raw honesty. And in the realm of relationships, his wisdom carries a unique weight. West reminds us that human connection cannot be reduced to manipulation or shallow tactics. It is rooted in courage, vulnerability, and truth-telling. So today, as we break down 10 questions that can drive a woman crazy, questions that awaken her emotions, spark her mind, and pierce through the surface, you will discover not only the psychology behind attraction, but also the Stoic-inspired mindset that keeps you grounded as a man. You'll learn how curiosity, presence, and clarity can transform how women see you. Let's begin with the first 2 questions, because these alone can set the tone for everything else. And remember, these questions are not about testing her. They are about revealing her. Part 1. The first question. What do you truly value in a man? Most men spend endless energy trying to impress women with money, looks, or bravado, but Cornel West would challenge us to look deeper. A man who asks a woman, "What do you truly value in a man?" positions himself far above the average. Why? Because this question forces her to reflect on herself rather than evaluate you. Women are constantly bombarded with attention, comments on their beauty, invitations, shallow questions. But when you flip the script and ask her to define her values, something profound happens. She stops seeing you as another face in the crowd and starts seeing you as a mirror of her own soul. This question drives her crazy, not in irritation but in fascination. Why? Because it reveals that you are not desperate for her approval. Instead, you are calmly testing her depth. You are saying without words, "I know who I am as a man, but I want to know if you can recognize what truly matters." Cornel West often emphasizes that genuine dialogue is not about dominance, but about deep listening. By asking this, you are inviting her into a conversation about substance. If her answer revolves only around shallow markers, status, wealth, or surface-level traits, you immediately see where her mind is. But if she speaks about integrity, kindness, discipline, or strength, you are already accessing her inner world. This question drives her to think. And when a man makes a woman think, truly think, she associates him with growth. That's a rare and powerful thing. Part 2. The second question. When was the last time you felt truly alive? This question digs even deeper. It is a question Cornel West himself might ask, because it deals with vitality. The essence of what it means to live, not just exist. Women often move through their days following routines, just like men. They may not stop to reflect on the last time their soul caught fire, when they were lost in laughter, passion, or creativity. When you ask, "When was the last time you felt truly alive?" you are not just asking about her past, you are awakening her present. This question does something extraordinary. It shifts her emotions. She must recall a vivid memory, a moment of joy, or even a painful moment that shaped her. Either way, she relives that feeling in front of you. And who does she now associate that surge of life with? Cornel West believes that love is not about comfort zones. It is about courage, about breaking out of numbness and stepping into the rawness of life. By asking this question, you're indirectly testing whether she has the courage to embrace life fully or whether she has been running from herself. Here's why this drives a woman crazy. because most men never dare to ask it. They stay trapped in small talk. What's your favorite food? What shows do you watch? How's work? Boring. But you are different. You strike at the core of human experience, and when she answers, listen deeply. Watch her eyes. Her answer reveals not only her passions but also whether she has the capacity for wonder. And if she asks you the same question in return, you now have the chance to share your own moment of aliveness, further deepening the bond. Fear reveals truth. What a person is most afraid of losing tells you more about them than any rehearsed introduction or polished story. When you ask a woman, "What are you most afraid of losing?" You are not being cruel or invasive. You are opening a door into her soul. Cornel West often speaks about the tragic dimension of life, that love and loss are inseparably linked. To truly love is to risk losing. When you ask this question, you are not asking about material possessions. You are asking her to reveal her attachments, her vulnerabilities, and what she values above all else. Maybe she will say her family. Maybe she will say her independence. Maybe she will confess a fear of losing herself in relationships. Whatever her answer, it drives her crazy because it forces her to admit something she usually hides. Most men never hear such truths because they never dare to invite them. Here's the secret. Women are drawn to men who can hold their vulnerability without judgment. When she shares her fear, she is unconsciously testing you. Are you the kind of man who mocks weakness or the kind of man who honors it? If you respond with patience and depth, she begins to feel safe. And safety is the foundation of desire. Cornel West reminds us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it. When you guide a woman to face her own fears by speaking them aloud, she feels seen, understood, and strangely attracted. This question makes her restless in the best way, because you've reached a level most men never reach. Part 4. The fourth question. If you could relive one day of your life, which would it be? This question is magical because it blends memory with desire. It forces her to reach into her past, select a moment of meaning, and bring it to life through storytelling. Cornel West often teaches that memory is not simply about nostalgia. It is about identity. What we choose to remember defines who we are. When you ask her, if you could relive one day of your life, which would it be? And you're asking her to expose what defines her humanity. If she chooses a day of joy, you learn what happiness means to her. If she chooses a day of regret, you discover what pain shaped her. If she chooses a day of transformation, you glimpse her inner journey. Whatever the answer, she is forced to show you her values without you directly asking about them. This drives her crazy because you are not asking for facts. You are asking for feelings. Women are emotional beings, and when you pull her into a vivid memory, she doesn't just tell you about it, she feels it again. And when she feels it again in your presence, she begins associating those powerful emotions with you. Notice how different this is from what average men do. They try to entertain, impress, or talk endlessly about themselves. But by asking this, you shift the focus entirely onto her. You become the man who doesn't need attention, because you already command it by your depth. Cornel West insists that the richest conversations happen when people risk honesty. By drawing her into a memory, you bypass her defenses. You make her remember, relive, and reveal. And that makes you unforgettable. Part 5. The fifth question. What do you think people misunderstand about you? Every woman carries a private frustration. The feeling of being misunderstood. Maybe people see her beauty but not her intelligence. Maybe they assume she is strong when inside she is fragile. Maybe they think she is confident when in reality she doubts herself daily. When you ask, what do you think people misunderstand about you? You are acknowledging a universal truth. Everyone feels unseen in some way. Cornel West often says that justice is what love looks like in public. In relationships, listening is what love looks like in conversation. By asking this question, you are giving her the justice of being heard. This question drives her crazy because no man asks it. Most men are too busy trying to prove themselves. But you, guided by the wisdom of depth, are asking her to strip away the mask she wears for the world. And when she answers, you will hear the version of her that almost no one else does. Her answer may shock you. She might confess that she feels underestimated, judged, or invisible, or she might admit that people admire her for the wrong reasons. Whatever she says, it bonds her to you, because now you are the man who sees the hidden side of her. Cornel West believes that to truly love is to know the unlovely truths and still embrace them. When a woman realizes you are willing to see beyond appearances and stereotypes, she cannot help but feel a pull toward you. This is not a trick. It is the natural result of being real. So remember, gentlemen, women don't fall for men who talk the most. They fall for men who ask the questions that reveal the most. And this question, perhaps more than any so far, does exactly that. There are questions that skim the surface, and then there are questions that dive straight into the ocean of the soul. This is one of the latter. What do you think about when you're alone at night? Cornel West often reminds us that the true measure of a person is not what they present in public, but what they wrestle with in private. Nighttime is when the masks come off. The laughter dies down, the noise of the day fades, and the truth rises to the surface. Some people reflect on regrets. Others dream about futures. Some fight inner battles they never share. When you ask this question, you are giving a woman permission to speak her unspoken thoughts. And that is rare. It drives her crazy because most men fear silence. They fear what might be revealed in the dark. But you lean into it. You want to know her essence. Her answer might reveal ambition, plans for her career, dreams she holds silently. It might reveal anxiety, fear she hides behind a confident smile. Or it might reveal longing for love, for belonging, for someone who truly understands her. Whatever she says, she will never forget the man who cared enough to ask. Cornel West has said that to be human is to be a creature of finitude and hope. In other words, we live with limits and longings. This question reveals both, and when a woman entrusts you with that confession, the bond between you is no longer casual. It becomes sacred. Part 7, the 7th question. What do you believe love really is? This is the question that breaks through everything else. Every woman has a definition of love, whether she admits it or not. Some see it as security, some as passion, some as friendship, and others as sacrifice. When you ask, what do you believe love really is? And you are not asking about romance in the shallow sense. You are asking about philosophy, about life, about the meaning she assigns to connection itself. This drives her crazy because it forces her to articulate the one thing that cannot easily be defined. Cornel West has spent his life teaching that love is not mere sentiment. It is the commitment to care for another soul, to bear witness to their pain, to celebrate their joy, and to walk with them in truth. When you channel that wisdom in your question, you separate yourself from the crowd of men who reduce love to a transaction. Her answer will reveal everything. If she describes love only in terms of what she receives, you know her orientation. If she describes love in terms of what she gives, you glimpse her maturity. And if she hesitates, if she struggles, that too tells you much. This question doesn't just drive her crazy, it makes her reflect. And reflection is powerful, because once she begins associating you with her deepest reflections, you no longer occupy the space of a stranger. You occupy the space of meaning. Ending so, gentlemen, we've explored 7 of the 10 questions that drive a woman crazy. Not because they annoy her, but because they stir her, awaken her, and challenge her. These questions are not tricks. They are tools of truth. They transform small talk into soul talk. They take you from being just another man into being the man who sees her, hears her, and understands her in ways most never could. Cornel West teaches us that life without courage, dialogue, and love is a life half lived. In the same way, relationships without depth, honesty, and reflection are just shadows of what they could be. If you want to stand apart, if you want to inspire respect and desire, don't waste your energy trying to impress. Focus instead on asking the questions that reveal. Remember, attraction fades when it is based only on appearance, but it intensifies when it is tied to the mind and soul. By asking these kinds of questions, you create a gravitational pull that no amount of superficial charm can replace. In the next part of this journey, we will dive into the final 3 questions, completing the list of 10. But even with just these 7, you now hold a framework for connection that is rare, powerful, and unforgettable. So ask boldly, listen deeply, and live, as Cornel West would remind us, with love, courage, and integrity.